We know there are lots of scams going around. One viewer reached out to our Verify team asking about an email from what appears to be the Harris County Health Department. It asked for a copy of his COVID vaccination card and his address. Investigative reporter Cheryl Mercedes verifies if this is a phishing scam or if it's legit.
There is a lot of misinformation going around about the coronavirus pandemic. The Verify team is here to help you separate what is true and what is not. Steve wrote us concerned when he got an email that looked like it was from Harris County Public Health. It asked for a copy of his vaccine card and other information like his address. He told us the message looks like a phishing email. It seems they should already have my information. If this is phishing, people should be warned because it's very slick. We have two sources for this: Harris County Public Health and the Department of State Health Services. DSHS says when you get the shot, your vaccine provider is required to enter your information into ImaTrack 2, the state's vaccination immunization system. There are a couple of different ways they can do this: by entering the data into an online portal from their own electronic health reporting system, or by submitting data files to the state. Harris County tells the Verify team they are sending letters to people who appear to have incomplete or incorrect information in their records so that they can complete that process. They wrote the Verify team the message would be sent on behalf of Harris County Public Health from a county email address which ends in .net, so we can verify that this email is legit. Not everyone will get the letter. Harris County tells me it is only sending the request to people who got vaccinated at one of its public health sites. With your Verify, I'm Cheryl Mercedes.
If you have something you want us to look into for you, go ahead, email us at verify@khru.com.